I want to start by asking you something. How do you feel if you're part of a family where you support financially, where you have to obey and follow the rules of the house you live, but you have no voice and you don't count for family decisions? Tell me, how would you feel about it? Sad, angry, disrespected, not valued? What about not included? 13.6 million of people share the same feeling. I'm a green card holder. I'm part of the group of people that has no voice, that has no right to participate in the political decision making of this country. U.S. Immigration Department should update the green card holder rights to allow them to vote. Today, we're going to talk about why green card holders are excluded from voting, a fair proposal, and what can we all do. Let's dig into the problem. A green card holder cannot vote, and apparently there is no explanation to argue. It is a straight rule from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services Department, also known as USCIS. This affects to 13.6 million of people living in US, according to data from Homeland Security Department posted in April this year. USCIS is part of the United States Department of Homeland Security, and with approval of the Congress, Supreme Court, and the President of this country, the USCIS roll out the rights and responsibilities for green card holders. Let's see, what are those rights? Live in the country, work in the country, being protected by the laws of the country. That's good. Now, let's see what are the responsibilities. You need to obey the law. You need to pay taxes. You need to register to military service if you are male from 18 to 25. And of course, to support the democratic form of government. But wait, let's stop here for a moment. What type of support we are talking about? Well, the USCIS clearly defines that in its website by stating that support does not include voting. Permanent residents cannot vote in federal, state, or local elections. In 2017, Rosa Maria Ortega, a green card holder, was sentenced to 8 years of prison, deportation, and loss of custody of her 4 kids after voting in Texas under the status of lawfully permanent resident. Along with Rosa Maria Ortega, in 2018, the USCIS published the name of 19 people who were charged with unlawfully voting in 2016, facing sentences from 6 months to 26 years of prison, fines up to $350,000, and deportation. Please don't take me wrong. I'm a person in favor to obey and follow the law, but the electoral system is setting up for confusion in between the green card holders community. Currently, the state of California has the automatic registration to vote through DMV. So there is a high probability that during the driver license renewal, a green card holder will be registered to vote automatically. This is confusing because later we receive the request to vote while we are not allowed to do so. In 2016, the results of the elections in US gave Donald Trump the presidency of this country. It left out 13.6 million of people with no choice, with no voice, and they were at the mercy of somebody else's decisions and living with the consequences brought by other people's choices. You may say, what is the big deal here? You are not a citizen, you're not allowed to vote, period. Okay, let me tell you one more thing. Following data from Homeland Security, the ratio shows that there is around 500,000 male population between the age of 18 to 20 years old, ready for selective service, all of them green card holders. In case of institution of the draft, these people will have as many odds as any US citizen to be drafted and sent to war. I think it's fair that if these people are sent to die for this country, at least they could be allowed to vote. Now, we know the problem and its ramifications. Let's see how we can solve it. What I'm proposing today is to extend the franchise to US legal permanent residents. In other words, to allow green card holders to vote. The difference between a US citizen and a US legal permanent resident is only one thing: the right to vote. Permanent residents make full contribution to the community, and thus they should be able to contribute to political decision making in this country. That voting right will help legal permanent residents to integrate into the society of the US. The way we can achieve this is by getting the United States Citizenship and Immigration Department to update the green card holders' right. Rainer Baubock identifies two democratic arguments. One, he calls the principle of territorial inclusion, which refers to a community of individuals who are subjected to the same political authority and its laws may have equal rights to representation and participation in making of these laws. The second principle is affected interest. This refers to those who are affected by the decisions of the political authority have the right to participate in the process of selecting political authority. My personal argument is related to the contributory aspect. U.S. legal permanent residents are required to pay equal taxes than citizens. Therefore, we should have an equal say in deciding how those taxes are spent via selection of politicians. New Zealand, for example, is a country that for the past 45 years has extended the rights to vote to non-citizens based on the principles of equality, non-discrimination, and the desire to increase electoral inclusion. Now, U.S. has history of change through the years, from slavery abolishment up to increasing equality and inclusion. 150 years ago, the 15th Amendment allowed African Americans the right to vote. In 1920, the 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote, and just in 1965, the Voting Rights Act allowed African, Asian, Indian, Hispanic American women the right to vote. I think it's now the time for legal permanent residents to be included. It is now the time to live in a non-discriminatory political system. It is now the time to reform the political and socio-cultural system that exists in this country that promotes racism and indifference. So far we know the problem and the proposed solution, but what we can do? My request goes to the USCIS, the US Congress, and to the President of the United States to update the rights of legal permanent residents to allow them to vote. For the rest of us, all that I ask is to recognize the problem, to be empathetic with the 13.6 million of people that today don't have a voice, and to support this request for the best of the country, our communities, and our families. To conclude, I want to reiterate my request to the U.S. Immigration Department to update the green card holder rights to allow legal permanent residents to vote. Today we expose why green card holders are excluded from voting, proofs and ramifications of this problem. We discussed a fair proposal and what we can do from our standpoint. Where personally, I plan to allow to authorities to continue working on this to make it a petition to the US Congress. Because this is my home. I want to be part of the decisions made by my family, by my community, which is you.